now. He had a great run, and it's fun to watch. I think I watched Indiana State and Iowa, Caitlin Clark play about the same last year, so I watched a lot of basketball.
When one of the best basketball players ever says they're watching you play, you know you're doing something special. That's exactly what happened when Larry Bird said that last season he watched Caitlin Clark and her team just as much as he watched his old college team, Indiana State. And if you know anything about Larry Bird, you know he doesn't give out praise easily. This is a man who's seen it all in basketball, who's played against the greatest players ever. Yet, here he is, making time to watch a young player who, by comparison, is just starting her professional journey. But there's more to this story than just Bird being a fan. He sees something in Clark that reminds him of his own journey in basketball. Think about it. Back in his day, Bird wasn't the most athletic player on the court. He didn't jump the highest or run the fastest. What he had was something you can't measure. An understanding of the game that seemed almost magical. And now, decades later, he's seeing that same magic in Clark's game. Clark isn't just making waves in basketball. She's creating a whole new ocean. Before she even played her first pro game, Nike handed her a $28 million deal. To put that in perspective, that's more than many NBA players make.
Caitlin Clark is breaking television records. Again. She is breaking her own television records. Again.
She's already the biggest star in the WNBA, and she's barely started. But here's the thing about being in the spotlight. It's not all applause and autographs. Some people love you, others doubt you, and everyone, watches your every move. Looking at Bird and Clark side by side, you start to see why he's such a big fan. They both have this sixth sense on the court, this ability to see plays before they happen, like they're reading minds while everyone else is reading a book. They both can shoot from distances that make coaches nervous and defenders frustrated. But it's more than just the shooting. It's the way they think about the game. While most players are playing checkers, Bird and Clark are playing chess, thinking 3, 4, and 5 moves ahead. Let's break down what makes Clark's game so special. Every time she steps on the court, she's got that same look in her eye that all the greats have. It's a look that says, I belong here. And just like Bird, she makes up for not being the most athletic player by being smarter and more skilled than everyone else. She's proof that basketball isn't just about who can jump higher or run faster. It's about who can think quicker and execute better. Now, here's where the story gets even more interesting. Steve Kerr, who knows a thing or two about greatness with his 9 NBA championships as a player and coach, sees something different when he watches Clark. He doesn't see Larry Bird, he sees Steph Curry. And when you think about it, that comparison might be even more telling about where basketball is headed. Here's what Kerr said, and pay attention because this is important. Caitlin reminds me a lot of Steph Curry. A lot of people might not remember this, but in Steph's first couple of years, he wasn't a superstar. He wasn't who he is now. He had to get stronger. He had to learn that people were coming after him. That's what's happening with Caitlin right now. And just like Curry in those early years, Clark is learning that the pro game is different. She's had some amazing moments, like dropping 30 points against the Washington Mystics, a game where everything seemed to click. But she's also had tough nights, like when she shot just 10% against the New York Liberty. That's the thing about being a pro. You have to learn to handle both the highs and the lows. Like Curry, Clark does things on the court that most players wouldn't even dream of trying. She starts shooting as soon as she crosses half court, and we're not talking about desperate heaves. These are calculated shots that she practices every single day. Her passing? It's more like watching Patrick Mahomes throw a football than a typical basketball. She can throw no-look passes, behind-the-back passes, and full-court bombs that hit teammates perfectly in stride. She's not just playing basketball. She's reimagining how the game can be played. Curry himself can't help but be impressed. Here's what the greatest shooter in NBA history has to say about Clark.
I mean, I've been watching from afar and understanding just how much of a power she is out there on the court. The cool part is the way that she plays and her range and the level of difficulty on her shots is obviously a very close comparison to the way that I...
Yet, in another interview, he said this: she's fearless. The game runs through her, but she doesn't just score. She makes everyone around her better. When you watch them play, she just adds the element of surprise that you can't really game plan for, because it's so unseen in the sense of when she crosses half court, she's in her range. Let's talk about that shooting form because it's something special. Curry points out that whether she's shooting from 3 feet or 30 feet, her form never changes. It's like watching a perfectly programmed machine. Her feet are always set just right. Her elbow is always at the perfect angle, and her follow-through is picture-perfect almost every single time. That's not something you're born with. That's thousands of hours in an empty gym, taking shot after shot after shot. When Clark pulls up from the logo, something magical happens in the arena. The crowd starts buzzing before she even releases the ball. They know something special might happen. As Curry explains, these shots do more than just add 3 points to the scoreboard. They break the other team's spirit. Think about it. How do you defend someone who can consistently make shots from places where most players wouldn't even consider shooting from? Teams have tried everything to stop her. They've put taller defenders on her, quicker defenders on her, they've doubled her. They've tried to deny her the ball. But just like the great ones, she always finds a way. Because when you can shoot from anywhere and pass like a quarterback, there's no perfect way to guard you. Now, let's talk about something that's been bubbling under the surface. Not everyone was ready for Clark's meteoric rise. While NBA stars have been quick to embrace her game, some WNBA players have been more hesitant. And you know what? That's okay. Every great player who's changed the game has faced skepticism. Bird did. Curry did. Change isn't always comfortable, but it's necessary for growth. Even LeBron James, who knows a thing or two about dealing with massive expectations, stepped up to defend Clark. Here's what he said. Don't get it wrong. Caitlin Clark is going to make great things happen for the WNBA. Coming from someone who's been carrying the weight of expectations since he was in high school, that's powerful support.
But I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before. I've walked that road before.
The journey hasn't been perfect, and it's not supposed to be. That tough game against New York where shots just wouldn't fall, that's part of the story. Those moments when the game seems harder than it's ever been, that's where legends are made. Every great player has gone through it. Jordan did. Bird did. Curry did. It's not about never failing. It's about how you respond when you do. But perhaps the most powerful part of Clark's story isn't about stats or highlights or even comparisons to legends. It's about what happens in driveways and gymnasiums across the country. It's about young kids, especially young girls, watching her play and thinking, I want to do that. Just like Bird inspired a generation to perfect their jump shot, Clark is showing kids today that they can dream bigger than ever before. At just 22 years old, Clark stands at a unique crossroads in basketball history. She plays with the fundamentals that would make the legends proud, but with a style that points to basketball's future. We're not just watching another talented player. We're watching someone who could fundamentally change how the game is played. That's what makes basketball so beautiful. Sometimes someone comes along who doesn't just play the game, they reimagine it. Bird did it with his court vision and clutch shooting. Curry did it by extending the range of what's possible. And now Clark is doing it, taking pieces from those who came before while adding her own unique flair. This isn't just about a talented player making shots or winning games. It's about someone pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible on a basketball court. It's about breaking down walls, changing perceptions, and making us believe in magic every time she steps on the court. And just like Bird couldn't take his eyes off those Indiana games, we can't wait to see what Clark does next season. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to never miss another video. Drop a comment below telling us your favorite Caitlin Clark moment so far. And don't forget to share this with any basketball fans in your life. Until next time, keep watching History in the Making. Thanks for watching.